All right, buckle up, everybody, because this one is going to hit you right where it counts.
Yeah, no kidding. This quote we're starting with, it's not just some feel-good wisdom.
It's a straight-up challenge to how we think about our spiritual growth. The sinkhole of indifference is filled with those who are neutral.
Powerful stuff, right? And we're going to unpack all of that for you today.
Welcome to the deep dive. I'm your host, ready to get into it. And we have our expert with us today, as always.
Glad to be here. We're going deep today, folks, like really deep.
Into the sinkhole of indifference.
From the law of one material.
Exactly. We're going to really dissect what it means to be spiritually neutral, and is that even possible?
And why just existing, just kind of floating along, isn't actually enough if you're serious about your spiritual path.
Because this whole idea of third density, our reality as we know it, it's all about making a choice.
Not just once either.
Constantly choosing.
Choosing a direction.
Yeah, like actively steering the ship, not just letting it drift wherever the current takes you.
Exactly. For folks who might be newer to the law of one, third density is basically where we are now. This level of existence where choices and free will are crucial.
They're the engines of our evolution, spiritually speaking.
And that brings us to the big question we want you to really ponder during this deep dive.
Are you at the helm of your spiritual journey?
Making choices that line up with where you want to go.
Or are you kind of stuck, maybe even without realizing it?
In the sinkhole of indifference.
Okay, so let's dive into this danger of neutrality idea.
Right.
Ra, in session 63.10, gives a pretty straightforward explanation for why not that many beings achieve harvesting at the end of a cycle.
It's not because they're not good people, right?
Exactly. Good intentions only get you so far.
Ra says it flat out. There is not enough polarization, not enough seeking. The sinkhole of indifference is filled with those who are neutral. The dithering, the waiting, the balancing in mind and will without acting.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's like a punch in the gut, isn't it?
It's a wake-up call. It's saying you can't just understand these concepts intellectually. You got to put them into action.
Right. Like, knowing how to bake a cake doesn't mean you've actually baked one.
Exactly. Knowing about love and light, striving to be a good person, those are great starting points, but they're not the whole journey.
So it's not enough to just exist in that passive state of being good. You have to actually do something. You got to make choices that align with that goodness.
Exactly. Think of it like energy, right? If there's no difference in charge, no push or pull,
No spark.
right, no spark, then nothing happens. No flow, no change, no real transformation.
Okay, so if neutrality is the issue,
Mm.
what's the solution?
Polarity.
Polarity.
Yeah, choosing a direction. And, it can feel daunting, but it's really about taking a stand, not just intellectually, but with your whole being.
So Rel talks about polarity a lot.
Yeah.
What exactly do they mean by it?
They describe it as the very thing that generates spiritual energy, the charge, so to speak.
Oh, okay, like a battery.
Exactly. You need both positive and negative terminals for that electric current to flow.
So spiritually speaking, choosing to lean in a particular direction creates that energetic difference.
Precisely. Choosing to serve others, or, and this can be a tough one for people to wrap their heads around, choosing to serve the self.
So making a choice, even if it isn't perfect, even if we make mistakes along the way, that's better than being stuck in neutral.
Way better. Because you're generating that energy, that movement that allows for growth and transformation. Without it, you risk stagnation.
So this whole trying to avoid making a choice thing, that's actually a choice in itself.
Right. It's like you can't not choose, even
Yeah.
trying to sit on the fence. You're still subtly leaning one way or the other.
Even if you're not totally aware of it.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part. Rod talks about this in session 19.19. Those truly helpless are those who have not consciously chosen, but who repeat patterns without knowledge of the repetition or the meaning of the pattern.
So even trying to be neutral, to not judge, to just accept everything that can keep you unpolarized.
And stuck repeating those same patterns.
So the universe respects our free will, even if that will is to avoid making a decision.
But that can come with the consequence of staying stuck.
So if we do choose, if we do start to polarize, does that lock us in forever?
That's a really common fear, and Ra addresses it directly.
Oh, good.
In session 19.19, they say, the more an entity has polarized, the more easily this entity may change polarity, for the more power and awareness the entity will have.
So choosing actually gives you more flexibility later on.
Exactly. It's not about being trapped. It's about building momentum, awareness, strength.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first you wobble, you might even fall a few times, but the more you practice, the better your balance gets, and you can even start doing tricks.
Perfect analogy. Choosing is like exercising your spiritual muscles.
So where does this all lead? What's the end game, so to speak?
Well, that brings us to what Ra calls harvestability, or you might think of it as the threshold for graduation.
Ra mentioned some pretty specific percentages.
Right, 51% service to others for positive fourth density, and 95% service to self for negative fourth density. That's from session 17.31.
So there are clear markers, benchmarks.
And it's
Yeah.
not just about being a good person in a general sense. It's about the consistent choices, the intention behind those
And
choices.
some lack of choice, staying neutral, that's the real danger.
That's the sinkhole of indifference, which keeps you in third density for another cycle, according to session 17.2.
So it's about making conscious choices, understanding the direction we're leaning in, even if we make mistakes along the way.
And here's a really important point. It's not about the size of the action, but the sincerity behind it.
Right, like it's not about making these grand gestures, it's about the everyday choices.
Exactly. Choosing patience over anger, kindness over indifference. Those are the building blocks.
It's about intention, and I think that's a really comforting thought for a lot of us. It's not about being perfect, it's about being sincere.
That's exactly what makes this whole concept of polarity so applicable to our daily lives.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to bring it back to you, the listener.
The big question is, are you choosing?
Or are you waiting? Are you actively shaping your spiritual path, or could you be, without even realizing it, caught in that sinkhole of indifference?
And remember, you have the power to choose. It's within you right now.
Every moment is a new opportunity.
And even small, seemingly insignificant actions, when they're fueled by sincere intention, they create ripples. They affect your journey.
They matter. So as we close, I want to leave you with a powerful thought from Raw, session 1.7.
This one really makes you think.
You are not a part of the creator. You are the creator.
Let that sink in
If you are the creator, what are you creating with your choices?
every single day.
Are you shaping your reality consciously, or are you drifting? It's a question worth pondering.
It is.
Walk in love, shine in light, and choose again and again and again.